Hi everybody, I'm Jared Labuscatney for Zulu Alpha Firearms channel, and welcome to today's show. We're again at TacticalHQ. We'll be doing a 2-mag review of the CZ Scorpion Evo 3 pistol caliber carbine. There's been a lot of interest in the pistol caliber carbines recently, over the recent years, primarily because you can get them now as sports licenses, but we're going to go into that a little bit later. So if you think of pistol caliber carbines, they actually are almost linked to history. I mean, you think of the Tommy gun that was used by American gangsters in the 30s. You think of during World War II, the MP-38 and MP-40 used by the German stormtroopers. You think of the grease gun used by the US military. And of course, if you jump forward to the 1980s Iranian embassy siege in London, the SAS with their H&K MP5s. So they are kind of classics in sort of historical events. So we're going to look at the CZ Scorpion the CZ Scorpion Evo 3, sorry. We've already done the P10C if you want to see that review previously. And this has been out since 2009. It's kind of been on sale in South Africa for the past couple of years. And we're going to look at one today. It is a privately owned one, so there's no incentive for us to punt it for any particular reason. And it's in use by 27 different countries, actually, in either their law enforcement or their military in some capacity, and of course widely by sports shooters and just sort of recreational shooters. So let us have a look at what you're going to get with this. You get this really big box. Now, a lot of people complain about the box, and whether it's a cardboard box or not. Quite frankly, I don't really care about a box. I would rather have you give it to me in a cardboard box and give me an extra magazine. A box is really something you use to transport it from the shop back home, and then you take your gun out and you put it in the safe. So box is not a big issue for me. I hear people saying, but what happens if you want to go to the shooting range? To be honest with you, if I see someone take a gun out of a box at a shooting range, my first thoughts is, you've just bought this, you probably don't know how to use it. So I get nervous around people who take firearms out of the actual factory box. So get a decent carry box or carry container or carry bag to use it for when you want to transport it around. So again, we've got the shooters next door, so sorry about that. What do you get with it? Typical stuff, little instruction manual, you get your little cleaning rod. In this particular one, you get 2 shitty little 20-round magazines. I have no idea what they think you're going to do with these at all. 20 rounds is probably too little for sports shooting, self-defense. I would definitely want to go for a bigger round magazine. They could have quite frankly just given me one 30-rounder, but you get 2 20s. I've loaded these. You don't get the bullets. I've loaded this already. And what else do you get in here? So what I did go and do is I went and bought for about 590 bucks. It's a Magpul mag. It takes 35 rounds, but you get a lot of 30-rounders. A lot of aftermarket mags and accessories are available for the Scorpion, which is quite nice compared to other firearms. So you actually, of course, get the firearm. Now, I have already checked for safety purposes. I'll just do so again, and it is clear. Double check, no magazine in, ammo on, and on safe. So it is. People often think of the CZ, and you think of the original Scorpion that came out in the 1960s, which we'll probably put a picture of up here. It is technically, yes, a further down version of that, although it is quite mechanically different from that old shitty CZ Scorpion from the 1960s. I think it's the VZ61. This is kind of like a it's a 2009 it came out. Its competitors, if you're looking for something similar, not necessarily in price, but in type of form and function, because obviously this is a 9mm, you're going to be looking at something like the Grand Power Strybog, which is on sale in South Africa. I'm only going to focus on the stuff you can get in South Africa. Grand Power Strybog, quite a nice gun, but I don't know how many shops are stocking it, so parts might be a bit of a difficulty, but a very nice firearm. The Saiga 9, which is essentially a 9mm version of the AK. This is beautiful. This is really nice. Does have pick rails. We're not going to do a review of it. Again, it is safe. I have checked it. Paddle release, etc. This is going for about 28. I'll get into the prices of the other ones in a moment. Definitely worth checking out also if you're interested in a PCC. I don't think people would use this one for sports though, but it's definitely for fun sports and just sort of fun enjoyment. Of course, if you really want to go for another competitor, you're looking at, this is a bit of a tricked out one, but the H&K MP5. But you're going to be paying in your 45 grand. I saw ones, refurbished ones, proper H&K, going for 45. If you get the Pakistani version, the POF, which is actually made with H&K machinery, you're probably going to pay in the 20s if you can get those. Other one that you can look at would be something like the SIG MPX. Yeah, SIG MPX. That again, you're going to be paying about 45 grand for, but a beautiful gun, kind of sports ready out the box. But again, you're paying a lot of money for that. This actually, since I actually have touched on prices already, is going for in the kind of mid-20s. I've seen these going for. A couple of years ago, they were going for 27. This one was purchased in 2018 for 22, which is a pretty good price at that stage. So you're probably looking in your mid-20s for the Scorpion. So, but in terms of what you're getting, the modularity is probably a very good thing, good deal, something to definitely worth looking at. All right, sorry, let me pick it up again. So it's blowback operated. You can customize the hell out of this particular thing. You can unscrew this and you can then have a threaded barrel. Works very nicely with suppressors, and some people say it works better than the SIG MPX when you're going to do suppress it. So a lot of people do add on a suppressor, which is again a lot of fun. We did do a review about suppressors not too long ago. So let me just work through it. As I said, cold hammer forged barrel, Picatinny rails all over. I mean, you've got top, both sides, and bottom. So yeah, it is a bit of a cheese grater. So if you're not going to add accessories like a nice foregrip, which some people do, also, or one of those little grips to stop you from accidentally sliding your hand over the front, you might want to put some covers on you, but you know, order those off Wish for like a very cheap price. What else we got here? So the grip, anti-safety. So we've got, let's start at the top. Very nice iron sights, actually. They do have a bit of those serrations at the back, because apparently nowadays people complain about the glare, which I've never had a problem with glare coming from the back of sights, but they do have nice metal sights, flip up apertures, and a lot of people say the sights are actually quite nice. They're adjustable front and back. But again, swap it out. You've got pick rails, you can put whatever sights you want. A lot of people, like myself, I'm going to put a red dot either above the iron sights or in place of the iron sights. But a full pick rail, well, up to here. Some people say, well, why doesn't it go to the end? Well, that does also allow you to grip it quite nicely if you like holding it like that. So pick rails, what else we got here? Charging handle, ambidextrous charging handle. So quick swap out and you can have the charging handle on the right hand side. For me, one of the coolest things, because of course, you know, firearms ownership is all about looking cool, is you have, if I can get it to open now, what have I done? Sorry, it's on safe. Oh, the kind of MP5 classic iconic lock up here, which you then slap down. It's just beautiful. It's like poetry in motion when you see that. So I'm just going to, there we go. So that's very nice. So it does have a bolt hold open on your last shot anyway. We then have, what else have we got here? Ambidextrous safety, which again, people focus a lot on ambi, which is again important because left-handed people feel left out. But a lot of people would say that whatever hand, like for me, I'm a righty, you definitely want to change this out. Take it out, and you can get aftermarket little plugs that actually basically takes away the safety on the right, because it is very uncomfortable. It sticks into your finger, and everybody complains about that. So that's a cheap aftermarket thing that you can take that out and replace that in terms of it not damaging you. The trigger, a lot of people complain about the trigger. They say it's quite a heavy trigger. So definitely, if you want to do sports, swap out the trigger. And again, there's a lot of aftermarket parts for trigger packs that you can plonk in, I think going for about $1,000, $1,500. And I'm probably going to do that one day, funds depending. Folding stock, it is does stay in place. Maybe not as much as I'd perhaps like it to. Easy out, push button at the back, and back in. So nice. It also does extend a little bit more here, so AR type of sort of extension there for people who are longer or shorter arms. Once it's in place, very sturdy and a simple button. It has 4 sling mounts, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'd have to get obviously some attachment that's going to go through this. Some people even just paracord, attach it to this sling. The mag release, okay, I just want to see if it drops out. Yeah, so you've got 2 options. You've got the ambi mag release here, and then, if I'm not mistaken, there's another mag release also up top. And that's a slide release. Out. So some people say, you know, they don't like that. They prefer a different type of mag release. But this is quite handy. Again, it's that sort of H&K MP5 style. Pull it out if it doesn't drop out. What else is to say? Yeah, so the grip, as you can see, it's quite an angular grip, and some people have said that they don't like the grip. They find it too angular. But again, the nice thing about this is swap it out. You can get a different grip. A lot of people are doing aftermarket grips that are angled quite differently. So those are the main features I would say about the gun. Robust and strong, mainly polymer, but a nice sturdy polymer. You don't feel like it's cheap and plasticky. So a lot of fun in that regard. As I said, I'm going to definitely put a red sight on. I'm going to get a different trigger at some point and definitely replace that, and we're good to go. You can get different types of stocks if you really want to. It's not a big step to actually replace the whole stock, and it's fun. So without further ado, let us not waste any more time. We're going to do a shoot. So we're going to shoot probably 2, maybe 3 mags of this and see how it goes. Cool. Okay, here we go. It is on fire. All right. I'm going to do the slap because it's, again, absolutely fantastically cool. Here we go. And go for the head. Aperture. There we go. Nice, not too much of a kick. It's a direct blowback, so you're always going to have a bit more kick. Oh, but it just sits on target. You don't really. That's a lovely thing about your PCCs. You got this rifle style, but with a small caliber. And go for the white target on the left. All right, so let's see if it'll drop an empty mag. It will, so you don't have to worry about pulling the mag out. Oh, not too bad with the grouping, I reckon. Again, we haven't set the sights, so I don't quite know how accurate it is. Let's go and shoot the really crappy little mag. So I think the only purpose why you'd want this little mag is if you're going for something that's more concealed. You want to put in a backpack if you're doing, you know, some self-defense, or if you're a security person, close protection. But 20 rounds, I don't know. You may as well have a pistol. All right, go for the right-hand side. I'm going to shoot quick. Oh. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, it's raining shells. Okay, will it drop the pistol mag? So the 20 rounder mags don't seem to drop out. That's not a big major crisis. Like I said, who's going to use a 20 rounder? All right, I know it's a 2 mag review, but yeah, so it does have the last round. I can feel it's got the last round bolt hold open. I just like the slap. All right, and go for the stomach because that'll hurt. Yeah, I can feel that chow in my finger. This is definitely going to have to be replaced for sure. See, will it drop it? No, little ones, not enough weight to drop out. All right, and we're clear and safe. Very nice to shoot. Very little kick. I do think I'll definitely cover these Picatinis. That's going to get a bit of a problem if you're shooting it a lot. That is going to irritate me, definitely. But it's stable. It's heavy enough with a 9mm caliber that it's really just sitting on target. So it's really a dream to shoot. Like I said, magazines, definitely go for the bigger magazines. They drop out, and why would you want 20? Like I said, maybe if you're doing security, close protection, you want to put it in a backpack and be able to draw it quicker. Yes, then the shorter magazines would be useful for you, but I just think they're personally a waste. They're going to sit in the cupboard. So what? Yeah, so it doesn't use Glock magazines, but everything has to use Glock magazines. As the aftermarket spares, this is Magpul, but a lot of other people are making the magazines that fit this. The CZ magazines are very good in general. They are this sort of translucent, so you can see, for what it's worth, how many rounds, or that there are rounds inside the magazine. Some people don't like the fact that it's not an AR style, the controls, but then quite frankly, buy an AR9, you know, go for that if that's your big issue, if you don't want anything that's a little bit different. I like the difference of the Scorpion. So what do you want to use this for? Definitely sports shooting. People are using this for fun sports, and I think some people are tricking it out to use for more competitive sports shooting. Home defense, well, yeah, for sure. So if I'm at home and I have to go for a firearm, and I open my safe, and this is there, or my pistol's there, I'm going to grab this. It gives you that nice stable 3 points. You know, you're going to be much more secure and accurate. If you can consider that you're holding a pistol out like that versus this, you have a little less, you know, sticking out that someone can get and grab at the front, etc. We've discussed on previous types of reviews how that can happen. So definitely home defense. If you've got a red dot torch on it, this is definitely a lovely thing. It's also intimidating when people see you hold out this. Security companies, for sure, you know, if you don't want to carry a 5.56, maybe you're doing a security company that does armed response in a residential area or where there's going to be lots of people, so you might want something that's not going to go as far as a 5.56, but you still would like that sort of presence of a bigger looking gun. So that could be for close protection. You know, this might be a need that people have. So a hell of a lot of fun. So how would you get this licensed? Well, there's a couple options. And one very important thing you have to pay attention to in a moment. Well, firstly, now, it's a pistol caliber carbine, so it'll be at the CFR registered as a carbine, which means you would only be able to get this on a Section 16 dedicated sports license, not a Section 15 occasional. You would not be able to get this. So Section 16 or as a collector if this fits into your theme of collecting. Now, what was the sort of tricky issue you have to pay attention to? About 100 of these were brought into South Africa and licensed at or registered at the CFR as pistols, okay? Also, a bunch of SIG MPXs were also registered as pistols. Because it was registered as a pistol, some of them were registered as pistols. It meant you could get them on a self-defense license or a Section 15 occasional sport shooter license. That has apparently subsequently changed. So I had a guy who went to, I think it was Safari Outdoor, bought it as a pistol, went to license it, and they said, sorry, you can't, it's a carbine. So what it seems like is that those 100 that were brought in as pistols, if they were still sitting on dealer stock, they were changed by CFR into carbines, which means when the person wants to license it, you'd have to have the necessary things, which, like I said, be a sport shooter with your competency for that, for a carbine, or a collector. The people who already had them licensed to them as pistols are probably going to find, not a problem, but a bit of a hiccup when they relicense them, when they renew their license. Because you'll probably find that the DFO will say to you, but this is no longer a pistol, this is now a carbine. Do you have the requisite competency and do you have the requisite type of license, or how you're going to have to relicense it? So if you already own one of these and it was licensed to you as a pistol, go to your DFO, ask them to check the serial number. What does it say on the system? Is it a carbine or a pistol? And just be aware, if you want to relicense it in the future, you're going to either have to go the dedicated sports route or a collector's route. It's not a big hassle to do that. Honestly, it isn't. But just be aware of that so you don't have problems right at the end when your license is expiring. So that's the sort of licensing things. Price, like I said, this one in 2018 when it was purchased was going for $22,000, and that was a pretty good price back then. They were roughly going at $27,000 back then. Again, I've seen them now recently advertised on different places for around about $22,000, $23,000 with the buttstock. You can get them without the buttstock. This is going to probably cost you $2,000 anyway. And it's not the fact that it has a buttstock or not that makes it pistol. It's what it is licensed at the CFR, which determines whether or not it's a pistol or a carbine. So yeah, so probably in about your mid-20s, definitely check out TacticalHQ for prices before you go and buy. If you don't do that, you're just, again, you're doing yourself an injustice, because they often have very good competitive prices. But as I said, I've shown you some of the other competitors which are available locally in South Africa, some of them in the same price range, like the Saiga 9, other ones more expensive, like your H&K and your SIG MPX. So if you want to spend that more money, please, by all means. But this is a very well priced in terms of these, and what you're getting, modern rifle, modern firearm with the ability to really change and update and make it more modular and change what you want to change as your budget allows. You can do this where, the MP5s, you can't necessarily do it as easily to sort of modify. So I hope you enjoyed that very quick review. Sorry about any bangs in the background for our neighborhood shooters. But look into it. Pistol caliber carbines, the way to go. As I said, there's been a big increase in people's interest in these because in about 2 years ago, in South Africa, before 2 years ago, you couldn't license them under a sports license. So for civilians, it was difficult to actually get these. Now that it is recognized as a category in your sports shooting, now this becomes available for a lot of people to own if they have the necessary dedicated sports shooter status. So come on down, test one out, have a lot of fun. You will not regret one of these. They're definitely going to be a permanent feature in the firearms community in South Africa for people to have fun with. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm Jared Labuskaghni for Zulu Alpha Firearms channel. Thanks again to TacticalHQ for letting us use the range, and be safe, be legal, and be responsible.